Now, I want to ask you this. What do you say, because I've seen this happen. A lot of times I go into small businesses, and I go into a meeting, okay? So if you can picture this, I'm going to a meeting with a small business. Particularly, I worked with a business in the medical business in Texas. And I go in for a staff meeting. It's an all-staff meeting. All the staff's required to be there. They brought me in to speak. I'm excited. Hopefully they're excited. They're there. And nobody at the meeting has a piece of paper to write down any notes. And it made me crazy. But then when you talk to some of the people, they say, well, no, I'm just kind of memorizing what I need to do. I don't like to write stuff down. I kind of have it up here. What would you say to that person?
I like those people. There's more opportunity for me because about only 5% of the people are very effective in the world, make things happen and get rich and get great jobs and do great work and leave a legacy. And then about 95% of the people are wandering around out there in the field wondering what happened and trying to blame somebody else for all the things in their life. And let me tell you, my boss, he was great. I used to walk over, he'd say, Lee, take care of this. And I said, okay. He said, I didn't see you take out your little book and write it in there, Lee. And that's true. When I'm meeting with somebody and I'm giving them 3 or 4 things to do, you think you might want to get something out, write this down, because I'm going to follow up with you on Friday and I expect to get done. If it's not done, we're going to have an issue here because you're one of my key people.
So an action item for all the Thrivers watching this, if we're trying to learn to become productive with our time, we just need to just write stuff down. You got to turn thoughts into things, put it on paper, bam, knock it out.
And I go to meetings where you see some are really doing it well and others are just like over there. It
freaks me out when people are in a meeting and they're not typing or writing it down or whatever they're doing. Now, step number 4 is you say schedule specific times to get your to-do list done. So, Lee, why do you have to schedule specific times? Let's just say we're in a meeting, there's a bunch of things I have to do. I put it on my to-do list, but why do I have to think about it and go, when am I going to do this? Why is that important?
I'd say the main thing is schedule the priorities in your life, the big things.
Okay.
So I schedule my exercise, that's a priority.
Okay.
I schedule meetings with my finance guy, because it's important to me to go over it and see how he's doing what we're doing. I schedule time with my family. Our family comes over on Sunday, we schedule them, we invite them over.
You put a schedule for family.
When I wrote this book, or any book, I write every morning from about 8 o'clock to 10:30. It's in my schedule.
Block it off.
Block it out. You write 2.5 hours a day. The discipline to do that, then you have a book. They asked Maya Angelou, they said, Maya, how do you write books? She said, I rent a hotel room, I go there, nobody knows where I am, I write from 5:30 in the morning till noon, and phone calls, no interruptions, and in about a month I got a book.
Yeah.
And people got to learn to isolate themselves. Even in my schedule, if you got a big thing to do, and it's on your to-do list down here, move it up and schedule it with yourself, appointments with yourself from 4 to 5 o'clock.
I know when I do speaking events, if I'm on stage for 1 hour, I'm going to want to spend about 5 hours prepping. That's just my ratio. Everyone's different. But for me, it's about 5 hours where I'll read it again, get familiar, read it again. So that way, if the slideshow quits working or something's a problem, I've got it up here and I've got it on paper and I've got all the different. But it's important to block out that time because it's so hard to take 5 hours in your schedule unless you block off a time. Now, Lee, a little notable quotable. You say that do the hard things and life gets easier. Yeah. Do the easy things and life gets harder. What does that mean?
Well, I think it's pretty simple. It's hard to exercise, but if you do it, you live longer, you feel better, you don't get sick, you don't have to go to the hospital, you don't have to have the surgery. If spending your money is easy. Saving it and getting into credit card debt is hard for people because they want things. They want to charge them, they want to get them. Getting a good financial plan is it's easy to just ignore that. It's hard to get it together and put that money away so 40 years from now you got a good plan. It's easy to eat too much. It's hard to push back from the table. It's easy to not have a discussion with somebody in your organization who's not performing. Just let it go. It's hard to have those conversations. But if you do easy things, life gets harder. If you do the hard things, life will get simple. You'll have better performers, you'll be healthier, you'll have more finances in your place.
I know that like when I started out my business in my dorm room, I never scheduled time never actually sat down and scheduled specific times to get things done. And so I would go, I'm going to make that flyer to market the business, or I'm going to make that website, and I would sit down and I would give myself an hour to do something that really took 6 hours, or I would give myself a 30-minute window to do something that took, and so I would always kind of feel overwhelmed. And that was kind of how I felt. I started to think like, well, that's just how life is. I guess I'm going to always feel overwhelmed. I'm just going to be, just life's challenging. That's probably all. For the rest of my life, I'm probably just that's how I'm going to feel. Now, and you talk a lot about this. I've heard you say on the stage, I've heard you say in interviews, I've heard you say when we've talked, that life is not just how it is. It's how you want. It's how you make it. Can you explain a little bit about your thoughts on this?
I run into people all the time. They just say, I don't feel good, and I weigh 100 pounds too much. But I guess that's the way it is. And I said, no, that's not the way. There's nothing the way. It's the way you let things be is the way they are. If you let your kids run around and be crazy and not have good manners and attend school and do their homework, well, you know how kids are. It's just the way it is. No.
Yeah.
It's the way it is for some parents, but it's not for the ones who want to keep that under control. And you got to just think about it. Quit using this as an excuse.